Hello, Billy Grant here again, and this is the third video whereby I'm introducing you to this second book that I've written called My Christianity, A Christianity for the 21st Century. And the reason I'm doing this basically is to give you a sense of what the book is about, because you won't get enough simply from the cover and the back. And if you're like most people that are not interested in Christianity because the trouble it causes in the world, and because you don't believe a lot of what's offered in the Bible, then you probably wouldn't even look at the book. But I'm actually in agreement with you, and so I'm actually offering a completely different, well, it's not completely different, I'm offering what I would see as an essential teaching and Christianity that we're missing because we're rejecting the superficial stuff that is actually being offered to us more in mainstream society. So I'm going to read part one and perhaps the start of the first chapter. Part one, Reconsidering Christianity. The first part of this book comes about as a consequence of my knowing that there is something to Christianity that is real and works, even though I don't agree with everything that is offered or is going on in its name. Part one therefore exposes some of my struggle and progress with Christianity, as my soul seeks to further realise a Christianity that works for me at this time. In the writing of Book 1, I seem to integrate initially conflicting understandings and end up professing that all we need to do to get life right is follow the teachings of Jesus and the holistic guidance within us. This, however, despite leaving me convinced, also left me without a way of helping others to see what I could see. It also left me with the disturbance of what wasn't working for me about Christianity. So off I went again on the second adventure to explore further into Christianity using the tools that I had acquired over the previous 13 years of training. The main contestation is that whilst there is a Christianity that works for me, it doesn't seem to be quite the same one that I see other Christians following, or the one that most of society has rejected. So part one is then my offering and exploration of what I see as an attempt to understand it further and let others see what I see. This, of course, doesn't mean that I'm correct and that others are wrong. It is simply my current offering of how I see things as I try to learn more about Christianity. Chapter 1. As I sit here searching for the correct title for my previous book, I find myself typing as it seems to help me process things these days. The situation is that I'm not satisfied with the current title of the book, A Christian Heart, The Wisdom That Guides Humanity. Now, as you'll see behind me, that title actually changed. This is because the wisdom that I am referring to seems more like the wisdom that is trying to guide humanity, but that humanity has rejected it due to the wrong that has been done in its name and continues to be. The difference between this and where I'm at myself is that I can see what does work for me as well as what doesn't, whereas most can only see what doesn't work for them. It is as if we are subconsciously following a guidance that shows us what we don't want, but that we haven't realised that we are following the guidance that we do want. As a consequence of this, we end up rejecting what feels wrong, but without realising that we are following what feels right. The result of this is that we end up lost and in a state of limbo and disconnect from source replenishment and further guidance, as we haven't consciously realised the guidance that we are following. For me, humanity hasn't yet been able to see beyond the impure that gets done in the name of Christianity, to see the pure Christianity that lies within it. It's a bit like not being able to see the pure within someone due to their childish behaviour, and so we reject them instead of helping them with their behaviour. It is not the teachings itself that are wrong. It is the interpretation and manipulation due to humanity's level of functioning that is wrong. Given my learnings from Watchman Nee in the previous book, it now feels more like the solical natural guidance that is guiding humanity at this moment. But in difference to Watchman Nee, I perceive that it is doing this so that we can get to the point of being able to follow the wisdom of the spiritual guidance that I am at the moment calling the wisdom of a Christian heart. This wisdom of the Christian heart is a bit of a mixture between Watchman Nee's Christianity, our current day Roman Christianity, Celtic Christianity, heart intelligence and psychosynthesis. these being some of the things that I have studied over the past 13 years. The wisdom of the Christian heart feels like accepting the essential wisdom and guidance of Jesus, but without having to buy into a misguided Christianity that is in our society, especially when there are parts of this Christianity that you are perhaps not okay with, and that would only keep you away if you were forced to accept them. This is then how you begin to extract the pure from within the tainted and recover the baby from within the discarded bathwater. This to me is the realignment of humanity with Christianity through Christianity's own religious process, realignment process, and spiritual awakening. This in turn requires a psycho-spiritual understanding of life and human development, as well as a sense of our own embodied systems. This being so that we, the conscious awareness, can use this wisdom within our embodiment to discern our deeper truth in contrast to our primal desires, our conditioning, and the functioning of our psychological systems. These systems being necessary for us to survive in today's lost and disconnected society, and being in contrast to Jesus having said that his advocate, the Holy Spirit, is with us and will be left to guide us in his absence. So this writing seems to be my new way of processing whatever is moving and has become a way for it to reveal itself. It is actually a bit strange to realise this because I am so used to working in group or one-to-one to facilitate this process. I can actually sense within myself the clash between the mindset, tree of knowledge, of how I am telling myself that I work and the reality of what is actually happening, the tree of life. The truth being that I am using writing to work out what's moving and emergent for me these days, whilst the mindset that I don't work this way is being forced to break down and reform itself, given the evidenced reality. But here we are once again back to witnessing the tree of life and the tree of knowledge as we did in book 1. The actual living reality of what is being in contention with what our reasoning and logic tell us should be based on the past, and so as to keep us safe and feeling in control. Ego likes to be in control. Another unconscious mindset that is being challenged and made conscious here is the one about me not being a writer and knowing how to write a book, because that is what I am doing, whether I know how to do it or not, and whether I intend to do it or not. Sorry about that phone, I've got my timer running. So this is what Jesus means when he talks about eating from the tree of life rather than eating from the tree of knowledge. Following the alive and vibrant truth and reality rather than get held back by the mindsets and beliefs and fixed knowledge constructs from the past. So I'm going to stop there. I'm watching my timer. And hopefully that begins to take you a wee bit further into a bit more of what it is that I'm trying to offer us by way of understanding what Christianity is really about. It's not there to be felt in what I see going on in churches. We're not ministering to the holistic guidance that is there in life. And it's no wonder that we're all living in disconnect and everything's beginning to fall apart.